Hello, my name is Christopher Kurt, but you can call me Topher. Welcome to the Fantasy Rankings Report. The intro was not working, so that's why there was an awkward silence at the beginning of our show, but we are very excited to have you here. When I say we, who do I mean? I mean myself, our rankings expert for the wide receivers, and my co-host, Michael Flores, our resident running back expert. How are you doing today, Michael?
Fantastic. It's the eve of the first kickoff, so I'm excited. I mean, it's what we're all here for.
Right? Exactly. I had a kid tell me, you know what's this weekend? And I was like, nothing else matters if you're not going to say the start of the NFL full season. Like, I don't care what you have to say today. I'm sorry. Yes, but it is very exciting to have the start of the NFL season. Just one sleep away, 24 hours, and we are back with football every Sunday until February. That is a wonderful feeling. And for some of you listening as well, the wonderful feeling is that pumpkin spice lattes are back, or pumpkin fall foliage stuff. I'm happy for you too, but football's more important. So I want to mention that our show is brought to you by Fantasy Now Plus and the Fins Talk Sports Network. And please subscribe to both of those. The links are in their descriptions. You're going to now be seeing weekly articles about the games. You're going to who did really well, who should you pick up from our website, the Fantasy Now Plus. You're also going to see updated weekly rankings there. So I highly encourage you to be a part of it. We start our show off every week with ranking question of the day. In this segment, Topher and Michael will ask each other questions about rankings in any way, shape, or form. We can stick to our area of expertise or talk about a different position. Today, I'm sticking with my area of expertise with wide receivers. I'm sticking with our wide receiver 2 category. There are 4 wide receivers I'm going to list for you. 2 of these wide receivers in the wide receiver tier 2 have a maximum consensus range of 5, meaning the consensus is really tight on them. There's a difference of 5 rankings or less between all of them. 2 of them have a minimum consensus range of 12. So experts have them at least 12 apart, if not further apart. Tell me who is who. Courtland Sutton for the Denver Broncos, DJ Moore for the Chicago Bears, Jackson Smith-Njigba for the Seattle Seahawks, and Marvin Harrison Jr. for the Arizona Cardinals.
All right. So I am not very low, but I'm pretty low on Marvin Harrison Jr. compared to many people I'm talking to. So I'm going to go with he's the one that has one of the higher ranges. And then, as much as it hurts me to say it, DJ Moore is probably in that category too, just because I think people are a little concerned about what that Bears offense is going to look like, even though they're going to be fantastic. Trust me. There's no bias. They're just going to be great. So I'm going to do both of them as the larger consensus, and then Sutton and Jackson, they're going to be in that 5 range that you mentioned.
You got one of them right. So you're
Okay.
50%. Which one do you feel more strong on? DJ Moore or Marvin Harrison?
I feel stronger on Marvin Harrison, to be honest.
And that would be wrong. Marvin Harrison has a range of 5 this week between wide receiver 16 and 21. I think part of it is that they play the New Orleans Saints.
Fair.
And if Marvin's going to hit any week, it's going to be this week. Yeah, we're gonna hope. Jackson Smith-Njigba is at wide receiver 14. Sorry, Harrison is at wide receiver 18. Has a range of 5. Jackson Smith-Njigba is wide receiver 14 with a range of 3. His range is really small. Yeah, 13 through 16. Courtland Sutton has a range of 13. He's our wide receiver, 22. Highest is 17, lowest is 30, which I think is pretty interesting seeing that they play the Tennessee Titans this week. And I'm not seeing Tennessee as a formidable defense. Cortland's clearly the number one receiver there, just signed contract this season, off season. Like Sutton's should be a steady and safe player in my mind. Then looking at DJ Moore, he's got an obscene range. His rank is wide receiver 23, right under Cortland Sutton. The high is 14. The low is 33. He's got a range of 19 right now. And I kind of looked at it and was like, okay, this might be anomalies. So there's one website that has him at 14, but then there's 23, 29, 33, 14. Like it's not just like, oh, he's 25, and then there's one big number, one little number. There's multiple of them. So,
wow. Yeah, I think it's Rome season. That's why. So, Rome's going to take over. Mm-hmm.
Yes, I fully agree. There's just something different. I'm with you there. Okay, got a question. Cap for Life asks, gentlemen with 27 different emojis, flex spot, Evan Ingram or Jauan Jennings? What are you thinking?
Me personally, I like Ingram. I know they said Jennings is healthy and good to go. I don't know what that means. Is that healthy as, well, he's healthy enough because we need somebody to play? I think I'm going to roll the dice on Ingram myself.
You're going to roll the dice on Ingram? I'm going to roll it on Jauan Jennings. So clearly we're not helping you at all, Cap for Life. I think Jauan Jennings, though, when you have a chance to play a wide receiver that has the upside that Jauan Jennings has, he has a big play upside, big game upside versus Evan Ingram, who we have not seen play a full game in the offense, and he's older. We don't know where his connection with Bo Nix is. I'm going to play the wide receiver we've seen over a tight end that we've seen talent. We've seen wonderful things from him, but is he really going to carry that through? Plus, when it comes to flex, unless if you've got multiple tight ends that are really top tier, I'm staying away from tight ends in my flex.
It's a great point.
Yeah. Okay. So keep us going, Michael.
Yeah. So before really getting into the meat of the show, we like to see 8 different companies and how they go ahead and how they rank everybody. So we take those 8, we get ourselves a little mode, a little range, and we go from there. From there, we'll see if these guys are a consensus pick, or we're going to see if everyone's all over the place with them and nobody really knows. But to start off this show, we're going to go steady and save first. So this is the part of the show where we each highlight 3 players in our position of expertise that pretty much the consensus agrees on. So the range is going to be a lot smaller than most of the other guys. My first guy, we're going to see him playing right away. We got Saquon Barkley going tomorrow. Now, he's currently listed at RB2. His range is 1 to 3, so anywhere between, he's absolutely the guy you're starting no matter who you have, versus, if you somehow have number 1 and 2, you can plug him in as your RB2. But he was RB1 last year, and he had a monster season last year. And to start this year, they get week 1 in Dallas. And that's just not any kind of week 1, in my opinion, this time around. There is no Micah Parsons. It's not important what team he's on now. Nobody cares. It's fine. He's just gone, I guess. Now, still stings a little.
Yes. I mean, I love that Micah Parsons is in a new location. I'm sure Caleb Williams will as well.
Braxton Jones is going to be hurting so much this year. I am not excited for it.
Yeah, with him, with Parsons, and with Hutchison, and then with the guys that have dominated Minnesota out of nowhere last year, like, whew, front lines are going to be tough in NFC North.
Yeah,
I want to
go
for it.
Oh, so yeah, no, I'm just agreeing with you. It's going to be rough this year for the Bears.
If they're in a different division, they have a chance to be the division winners. They have 3 playoff teams in their division, and 2 of them won 14 games last year. And then the Packers. My first steady and safe wide receiver is Ricky Pearsall. Speaking of another San Francisco 49er, Ricky Pearsall has a range of 9, which is the second lowest range in our wide receiver 3 category. He's currently ranked at wide receiver 34. We don't know how Jauan Jennings is going to be, just as we talked about earlier. George Kittle is a go. Christian McCaffrey's a go. But who else is there? They've activated MVS. Marquez Valdes-Scantling has been activated from the practice squad to their active roster for this game. No, you don't want him starting for your team, especially if you just picked him up off the street last week. That Ricky Pearsall is going to be one of the main people. That's why I'm starting Jauan Jennings over Evan Ingram in our fan question earlier. Because of that, Ricky Pearsall, steady and safe. They play a Seattle team that they've got some good secondary. They do, but how are they going to, San Fran should come away winning this game. But it could be a shootout. It could be a close game. Ricky Pearsall is the guy you need to go to.
Love it. My next guy, Ashton Jeanty, RB6, range from 5 to 10. Highest drafted running back since the guy I just mentioned, Barkley. He's going up week 1 versus the Patriots. They're 22nd in rushing yards allowed last year. They led 131.5 rushing yards per game last year. And Jeanty's got Chip Kelly as his OC, who loves to run. He's going to get his opportunities versus this Patriots team to just show off, whether it's going to be going through a guy or just completely bypassing him and they have to try and catch him. But he is going to have his shot to have so many opportunities with Chip Kelly this year.
Absolutely. Ashton Jeanty at running back 6. He's, again, somebody that we don't know in a different way of Evan Ingram, but he should be a generational talent. We've also seen that with Trent Richardson. We've seen that with Saquon Barkley. I hope he goes the Barkley route. I think everybody wants him to. Hopefully he is steady and safe. I think it's a risky steady and safe, but based off of expert consensus, I see exactly where you're going from. My next steady and safe guy, somebody who's been getting some questions about his health, but looks like he's going to be playing, is wide receiver 48, Darnell Mooney of the Atlanta Falcons. He's got a range of 6 in our wide receiver 4 tier, which is just bonkers. Just crazy right there. Steady and safe as it gets. That's a guy that you want to play. And against Tampa Bay, Falcons are going to be behind the Buccaneers. They're going to have to pass. They already know that Michael Penix and Drake London are going to be a duo for forever and a half. They're going to try and stop that. They already know Bijan's one of the top 2-3 backs in the league. What do you do? Darnell Mooney, Kyle Pitts? I think Darnell Mooney's better. You go with the guy that could be your tertiary offense, your option in an offensive shootout of a game. I think Darnell Mooney is a great wide receiver for a great flex play for you.
What do you mean? I've heard it's Kyle Pitts' year.
We've never heard that before. Never. Neither from Atlanta fans or from Chicago Cubs fans. Never. Oh. It's always our year.
Maybe this year. So my last guy, this one might be a little bit more controversial based on his new quarterback. But I'm going Brees Hall at RB20. He's got a range of 15 to 22. He's going up against Pittsburgh this year. They're kind of more in the middle of the pack. They gave up about 110 yards per game last year, rushing yards last year. But so he does have a real mobile quarterback. So they're going to look to try to see if Fields is running. Brees Hall also catches. They can dump it off to him as well if the whatever reason the run didn't work out, which it'll be fine. But he's got a lot to prove, and he's gonna show off this year. At least in my opinion, he's got to show off in this year. So, like I said, he can also catch. Last year, he saw about 76 targets, caught 57 of them for just short of 500 yards. He is going to be another. I keep using security blanket in other episodes, but he's going to be a security blanket there for Fields after Wilson, and then whoever he starts getting comfortable. Who else is he going to get comfortable with?
Josh Reynolds.
Yeah, which, if I'm not mistaken, did he get put in the depth chart as their wide receiver too?
I will look that up.
I thought I heard something like that the other day. So if that's the case, I'm expecting Brees Hall to catch some passes week 1 immediately.
I believe that he's the wide receiver 2. So, yep, he's wide receiver 2 along with Allen Lazard. He is still starting for that team.
Rodgers,
and right now,
back.
Jeremy Ruckert is over Mason Taylor.
Mm-hmm.
But we've also seen like Caleb Johnson's running back 3 on the Steelers depth chart. Bill,
Sure.
Clinton Krosky, Merritt, Jumanji III is running back number 4. Sometimes these can be misleading.
So he did take in practice, Bill did take most of the RB2 snaps in practice today. So I'm hoping they decided they're going to go use him a little bit more often, but we'll see.
I mean, it would be crazy if they did all the hubbub that they just had and didn't do anything with Bill. My steady and safe third pick is a wide receiver 2, and that is T. Higgins. T. Higgins seems like a no-brainer to play, especially against Cleveland, because it's Cleveland. And you just want to play those guys. He's got a range of 5. His highest range is 11. His lowest is highest ranking is 11. Lowest is 16. I don't think there's much of an explanation here. I try and avoid going with super high guys because most of the time you're going to start somebody like a T. Higgins. You're not looking to see, oh, is T. Higgins going to be steady and safe for me? Yes. But I think even more so the experts really can agree that T. Higgins could get into that wide receiver 1 category this week. He's ranked wide receiver 13. So just a tiny little push, he gets up there. Our main segment on this show is called Experts Against Experts. This is the part of the show where we each highlight 5 players in our positions of expertise that the consensus disagrees on. So there's a large range with them. We'll talk about one from each tier. For example, wide receiver 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, all of that fun stuff. If you are watching the live stream or the video later on, I want to show you what we are doing. We have a spreadsheet here. We go through, we have 8 rankings that we look at. CBS, Fantasy Footballers, Fantasy Now Plus, Fantasy Pros, Going for 2, NFL, Rotoballer, and Yahoo. We take all of their rankings and we figure out the average ranking. We figure out the high, low. We figure out the range. The more volatile the range, the more discussion that you have to have, and also the bigger question that you're going to have for your own starting lineup. I'm going to start us off today talking about our wide receiver 1 tier of Brian Thomas Jr., BTJ. Whew. I adore this guy. Bonkers what he did last year, especially with Mac Jones at the helm. There's been some discourse about Mac Jones, how he played with Mac Jones versus how he played with Trevor Lawrence. That was also the first half of the season versus the second half of the season. We've talked before on the show that the second half of the season for wide receivers that are rookies is a notorious time for them to break out, to get big things going. I think Brian Thomas Jr. continues to carry the torch with what he was doing. And he has the best opponent to start off that with against the Carolina Panthers at home. He's got a range of, he's wide receiver 5 right now. Let me double check that I do that right. No, he's wide receiver 7. Whoop, my bad. Wide receiver 7, but he's got a range of 5. Wide receiver 5 through 10. Carolina had one of the statistically worst defenses in history last year. The total offense, 32nd in the NFL, allowing 404 yards per game. Run defense was 32nd. Scoring defense was 32nd. Third down was 32nd. Pass rush was ranked last in the NFL for generating pressure without blitzing. They get Derek Brown back, who is their star in the defensive line. They drafted some rookies who are not on the starting spots of their depth chart. And they added a safety. I don't remember exactly who that was. Pretty good guy. Not anything you're going to go home and be like, oh my gosh, Packers just got Xavier McKinney or Micah Parsons or something like that. You know, just those little fairy tale, those dream things that shouldn't happen, but they do. If you're not seeing this, Michael is scouring at me right now, and I feel it, and it makes me feel so good. From week 11 on for BTJ, his worst yardage output was 76 yards. His worst game, he had 76 yards in. He had 7 receptions or more in his last 5 games of the season. Yes, Travis Hunter is there, and he's listed as a starting wide receiver according to the depth chart. He was picked number 2 for a reason. He was traded up for a reason. He's listed as a backup on the depth chart for cornerback. They're leaning him wide receiver. Brian Thomas Jr. did what he did last year with his ancillary pieces, his teammates, pretty much down and out. The offense was BTJ with a Mac Jones throwing him the ball. Now there's going to be viable other options that are going on, especially the number 2 pick. Nobody could cover him anyway. No matter what they were doing last year, no one could cover BTJ. Now there's somebody else that's going to be out on the field that is going to make it harder. BTJ to the moon and then some this week.
I love that. I do want to see that offense do what they're supposed to be doing, what everybody's expecting them to do. It could be a very fun offense.
Yes.
My first guy, going Bucky Irving. He's currently listed as RB8. His range is 4 to 11, though. So he's borderline RB1 to RB2, or he's right up there competing for one of those top spots. Looked good last year. He looked great from week 6 on, really. He had about 2 weeks between 6 and 18 where he had less than 10 points, and in both of those he actually had less than 5. Just basically complete goose eggs. But they're going up against Atlanta this year. Or this week 1, I'm sorry. And you just talked about that. It could potentially be a shootout on Atlanta having to really throw the ball to try to keep up. Tampa Bay's going to have to run. So they're just going to run out the clock as much as they need to. And last year, Atlanta was about middle of the pack in rushing yards allowed, about 120.6. But their last 3 games, they gave up on average 138.7. So they just got worse as the season was going on. Both games versus Atlanta, though, he did perform a little rough. He had 44 rushing yards in both games. So it wasn't on average. It was just both games he had 44 rushing yards. But in one of those, he did catch 7 passes for 40 yards. Mm-hmm. now, if you're in a PPR league, 7 catches out of your running back, not including what he's actually has to do for his job, you're going to have a pretty decent time there. And if he's anything like he looked last year, then that I'm going to expect a little bit more than 44 yards this time against this Atlanta team.
Yes, Atlanta did spend some draft capital building up their front seven, but again, it's the first week. You're not expecting rookies to come out and stop somebody like Bucky Irving. I love Bucky Irving as a play this week. Wide receiver 2 tier for me. Garrett Wilson of the New York Jets, who are facing the Pittsburgh Steelers at home. Garrett Wilson, as a wide receiver 2, currently is ranked number 20 in our consensus rankings this week. He has a range of 14. His highest ranking is 11. Somebody thinks he could be a wide receiver 1 this week. His lowest is 25, meaning that people think that he could be a wide receiver 3 this week. I am with that crew. Here's some reasons why. Averaged 23rd most points last season at the wide receiver position. That's not bad. 23rd, that's a low-end wide receiver 2. That's not where you drafted him. That's not where you play him. That's not what you want from him. Last year, he tied with Cooper Kupp in points per game. That's not Cooper Kupp a couple of years ago. Yes. Cooper Kupp last year. That's not somebody that you want to be like, yes, that's who I was with. Pittsburgh ranked 13th against fantasy receivers last year, allowing 155 yards to the wide receiver per game. Justin Fields, his new quarterback, has his career average of passing yards per game is 155.6 yards a game. So Pittsburgh last year allowed 155 yards to the wide receiver per game. That's the same amount that Justin Fields averages in his career as a starting quarterback. His career high in 2023 was 197 yards per game. Last season when he was with Pittsburgh, 110.6 passing yards per game. 110. That's disgraceful. That's disgusting. Yes, he can be a fun fantasy asset because he can run and you don't know where things are going to go. The DJ Moore season in 2020 was definitely an anomaly for what Justin Fields can do and what DJ Moore can do. If you look at the statistics, it's very, very much an outlier. Don't expect that kind of outburst from Garrett Wilson as with Justin Fields as his quarterback. You know who the Pittsburgh Steelers gained on the defensive side of the ball this summer? Darius Slay and Jalen Ramsey have been added as cornerbacks. Are they older and they're not at the peak that they once were at? Yes. Are they still starting caliber players in the NFL? Yes. The Steelers are not going to run out those two guys unless if they feel like, hey, they can do the job for us. Who else does that secondary have to guard? We've talked about it earlier. Josh Reynolds, Jeremy Ruckert. Yes, Breece Hall out of the backfield. Braylon Allen out of the backfield. They've got to watch Justin Herbert run. But otherwise, they've got a smashing front seven. That front four, Alex Highsmith, TJ Watt, they're gonna be vultures there. I don't think Garrett Wilson gives you a game that you want him as a top 3 wide receiver on your team. I think he's a wide receiver like mid 30s, low 30s, upper 40s. Like I'm putting him out as a wide receiver 4 this week. He's got the talent, all the talent in the world. But fantasy wise and his team wise against Pittsburgh and this first game with Justin Fields at QB, not for.
And the Steelers know what Justin Fields can do. They've seen it themselves. So
he got benched for them for Russell Wilson.
Yeah, I love Fields. I wanted him to work out so much, but I probably can count the number of times he had a 200 plus yard game on one hand. It was rough.
I
Like,
can look that up real quick. How many times did he actually have 200 passing yards in a game? So he did last year. He had 2 games. He had one game with 300 passing yards last year.
let's go.
And then he had 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7 in 2023. And then 2 in 2022. And 4 in 2021. Over 200 yards. We're not looking 300 yards. We're looking over 200 yards. We are talking, you're playing your third string quarterback on Madden against the all 99 team, and you're still going to get 200 plus yards against them. Okay. Throw out some Josh Dobbs, and you're still going to get 200 yards.
That hurts a little. So my next guy, RB2 tier, I got James Conner. He's RB14, but his range is insane. The highest is 8. The lowest is 20. So people have him as he's going to be RB1 this week. Borderline RB2, 3. They are not consistent with him right now. But the thing is, he did finish RB10 last year. And he's going up against the Saints in week 1. And you already mentioned that if Marvin Harrison's going to go off, it's going to be this week. Same thing with Conner. I think if you're going to go off, it's going to be against the Saints. Last year, they were 30th in rushing yards allowed, 141.4 per game. And again, their last 3 got significantly worse, averaged 174.3 given up a game. They also allowed about, I think it was just under 5. I think it was like 4.8 yards per carry. Connor's coming off of a huge season, just short of 1,100 yards, and he was averaging 4.6 yards per carry. He's going to elevate that a little bit higher, especially in week 1 versus the Saints. They have nothing going for them, unfortunately.
No.
They have Kamara, which is cool, but yeah.
If they had a competent quarterback, they've got 2 strong receivers.
Absolutely.
But they don't. They don't trust their rookie enough to put him in front of Spencer Rattler, and we already saw that experiment last year. I also think James Conner, he's going to start off the season with more of the workload over Trey Benson. And as the season progresses, it's going to even out more. So this is your James Conner game. This is James Conner's game of the season. You put money down on this if you're a betting person. If you're not, steal someone's money and put money down. No, don't do that. Don't do that, please. My wide receiver 3 tier guy is Jerry Jeudy of the Cleveland Browns. We have heard all offseason about how the Cincinnati defense not going to do crap again. They're not very good. And I think we can all agree with that. They're not doing anything with it. Jerry Jeudy is currently ranked wide receiver 31, has an absolutely insane range of 19 to 43. He's got a range of 24. There are people that think he could be a wide receiver 2 this week versus a low-end wide receiver 4. Maybe don't play in your flex play. Here's why you don't play him in your flex play. Yes, Cincinnati was the 22nd ranked worst ranked passing defense by passing yards per game. They allowed, sorry, that's a whole different statement. However, when it came to the wide receiver position, they allowed only 139.4 yards per game to that position. So even though they were 22nd worst, they were still locking down the wide receivers. Their tight ends and running backs were getting more of the work. Jerry Jeudy had some volatility last season, but no more volatility than against the one Cincinnati Bengals, as everybody would guess, not at all. Jerry Jeudy had his second and third worst game against them. He totaled 3 receptions and 38 yards in 2 games against the Bengals last year. He played 91 and 95% of snaps in those games. He had 3 games where he was targeted 3 or less times. 2 of those were against Cincinnati. Oh, sorry, no, I lied. One of them wasn't. One game, he had 6 targets. He had 1 reception for 18 yards in that game. Cincinnati has his number. Are they going to try and throw the ball more? Yes. Could he have a breakout game? Yes. Those are possibilities. But based off of last year and based off of what we know of the Cleveland Browns, starting Joe Flacco, who just came out of a retirement home to do this, I think it's crazy. I came into this doing research going, Jerry Jeudy, wide receiver 3 tier. Absolutely. Some people have him as their wide receiver 4. Some people felt really gutsy getting him as their wide receiver 2, while going some running back heavy or getting your 1Z positions of quarterback and tight end. And then was like, I can rely on Jeudy. I don't think you can this week. I think that if you have to start him, it's a risk. There's a league I have to start him in. I don't like it. I was happy about it until 3 hours ago. So looking at numbers counts. Looking at these things matter.
And you're right. He may have a high ceiling, maybe, but that floor is so low that it's a risk.
Yeah.
My next guy, RB3 tier, Zach Charbonnet. So he's at RB 36. His range is 30 to 47. Now, last year, he was Seattle's main running back after Walker got hurt towards the end of the season. He did well. About averaged 5 yards per carry, but Walker's back. Now, are they going to go the route where it's more of a 1A, 1B kind of setup? Or is it just going to be Walker's getting most of these snaps and Charbonnet is going to fall a little back behind? Now, he did get to see San Francisco last year, who they're playing week 1. They're in the lower half of rushing yards allowed, about at 124.5. Again, last 3 games, it seems like this is kind of becoming a trend towards the end of the season. All these teams are just giving up a lot more rushing yards, giving up 156.3 last year. But he was non-existent in those 2 games versus San Francisco. So it's non-existent really in that second game, in that second matchup where he was now getting more time. His first matchup, he had about 4 or 5 attempts and he had 20 yards. He also had a 15-yard reception. That's pretty good. But what's that setup going to be? Is Walker going to be there and just taking over for sure? If you have Charbonnet and he's sitting on your bench, let him sit there for a little while before they figure it out. Week 1 might not be the week to fully start him, or maybe they're not going to let Walker play as much as anticipated in week 1 just to see what his injury was like, if he's fully healthy, ready to go. But I do have Charbonnet in a couple leagues, but I'm avoiding him this week. I'm not even sure what he can even potentially do.
I think you have great points. I'm a Charbonnet stan this year. I've seen Walker be great, and I've seen him be awful. And I've seen Zach Charbonnet be much more of a steady player. And I think Zach Charbonnet is going to start biting into things. Is San Francisco defense with Robert Saleh back at the helm the place that you want to get Zach Charbonnet going on your fantasy team? Not if you don't have to, I'd probably say no. I would probably. Who would you start? Jerry Jeudy or Zach Charbonnet this week? because somebody might have that as a flex option.
In that case, I'd go Charbonnet as in that flex spot, just because, like you just pointed out on Judy's numbers versus Cincinnati, and it's not pretty.
Yeah,
And Charbonnet's floor is at least higher.
I would agree with that. Judy's ceiling is higher. Charbonnet's floor is much higher. And I think when you're going into week 1, you kind of want more steady floor play. Floor, not four. Floor play. I said that and I was like, sweet baby Jesus. Okay. I am doing something I've not done yet this season, and I'm so excited about it. I am talking about a Packers wide receiver in a positive way. Matthew Golden is my wide receiver 4-tier guy I want to talk about. His rank is 40 in consensus ranking. He's got a range of 13 from 35 to 48. However, I want to talk about this. Last year against the Lions, the Packers had a 100-yard receiver in both of those games. Jaden Reed had a 100-yard game. Christian Watson had a 100-yard game. Is that a little bit of an anomaly? Yeah. Am I going to run with that and say it's truth? Absolutely. Be a little delusional. Yes, you have to do that for the sake of fantasy sometimes. You have to dig in and go, I'm going to believe this. Do I think that will be a trend for the rest of days? No. Something to note. Jordan Love only had 1 passing touchdown against the Lions last year. There's some good passing games, some good yardage for the number 1 receiver on the team, but 1 passing touchdown in those 2 games. Matthew Golden is a clear number 1 receiver right now, with Jaden Reed not practicing and Dontavian Wicks practicing but hobbled. Either of them could be out for their first game. Romeo Doubs has never had a regular season 100-yard game. He has had 1 game against the Detroit Lions with 95 yards, 9 receptions for 95 yards. The rest of the games, he has had less than 40 yards against the Detroit Lions. He averages normally about 40, 50 yards a game. He's not your big boom or bust guy. He's your more steady, maybe get a little bump here and there. He had a great showing in the playoffs a couple years ago, and people still want him to do that, and that's just not his regular season play. Lions last year gave up the most yards to wide receivers per game. Lions gave up the most yards per game to wide receivers. Matthew Golden is meant to have big playability. That's why he was drafted in the first round. I think Jordan Love is going to trust him right away, especially with Reed and Wicks questionable right now. Romeo Doubs is not your big play guy. Tucker Kraft, I love the crap out of him. He's not your big play guy. You're not really relying on your tight end to be your big play guy most of the time either. I'm starting Matthew Golden over Jared Jeudy this week. I might start Matthew Golden over Garrett Wilson this week, because the peripherals for Garrett Wilson and Jerry Jeudy on bad offenses against their specific opponents this week is bad. The Packers are going to be a high-octane offense no matter what. And I'm not saying that as a Packers favor. I would start Rome Odunze over Wilson and Jeudy. I would start, it's not about Packersdom here. Yes, do I love the Packers? 127%. But this take is much more about fantasy information for y'all rather than my fandom.
Yeah, and you're right. I mean, Matthew Golden is their clear number 1. There really is. kind of nice that it has to be a rookie that is their number one. Kind of like it. But I don't think he will be your stereotypical rookie wide receiver, especially on that team where they're going to need to put a lot of trust in him. He's going to show it off. And like you're saying, if Detroit gives up that many yards to a wide receiver and Jordan Love can get his number one wide receiver a lot of yards versus that defense, that's going to be a great spot for him.
Don't expect a touchdown, people. Don't.
So my RB4 tier guy, I went Ramondre Stevenson.
Gross.
Yeah. So he's currently RB38 with a range of 33 to 49. They're going up against the Raiders week 1, who averaged only gave up about 116.9 yards, rushing yards per game last year. But they are the opposite trend than all the other teams I've mentioned so far. Their last 3 games, they gave up less than 100 rushing yards per game. And Stevenson's got to worry about Henderson potentially taking a good portion of his carries this year. And maybe that doesn't start week 1, but I think Henderson sees a decent amount week 1. Last year, Stevenson only averaged 3.9 yards per carry. He wasn't going anywhere. He was getting, 3.9 is fine, but it's not great, especially in fantasy football, unless they're just going to feed him the ball nonstop. Again, one thing I mentioned last week for a lot of these guys, he had 7 fumbles last year.
Yeah, I do. Oh.
He could not hold on to that ball last year. That combination, I don't like Stevenson. I like Henderson, but I don't like Stevenson, and I don't think Stevenson is the guy to look at week 1 against the Raiders.
I'm with you. They drafted Travion Henderson for a reason. Ramondre Stevenson has shown who he is. He can have great weeks. He will not always have great weeks. He will be horrid more than you want him to be. I wouldn't touch him with the 10-foot pole. I wouldn't. I don't think I have him on a single fantasy roster of mine. I don't know if I've even I don't think I've drafted him in best ball. And I've probably, no joke, done about 70 best ball drafts this offseason, this summer. Damn. I don't think I have a single Ramondre Stevenson draft. I don't think I have him in any of them. Also, don't think that I'm like rolling in the money. I'm doing like the little $1, $3, $5 ones on DraftKings and Underdog. And I did like one $25 one because I was like, I could make a lot of money. I won't, but I'll go throw $25 at this, Yeah, Ramondre Stevenson. Yes, exactly. Well, I don't have Ramondre Stevenson on that team, so it's a good start. I want to stay in New England with wide receiver 5 tier Demario Douglas. He is our consensus wide receiver 56. He's got a range of 16, high of 47, low of 63. He was wide receiver 52 last year. You're going to get him where he is going to play. Last year, can you hear my dog barking in the background or no?
A little bit.
Okay. Yeah. He's obnoxious. I love him, but whenever my husband comes home, he has to Paul Revere everyone. And he's barking so much, he's losing his voice right now. It's funny. He had 6 games where he was a wide receiver 3 or better. And then he had multiple games where he was a wide receiver 4, sometimes wide receiver 5 or worse. You're not gonna get explosive weeks from him. His highest last year was 92. Then he had 69, nice, and 62. Every other game was under 60 yards. He's not going to be exceptional. But he could give you in a half-point PPR league, he could give you 8 points, which isn't bad for a flex. It's better than what Jerry Jeudy has done against Cincinnati. Like, I also think that the Raiders, the dog is now barking at my door to let me know that my husband is home. Thank you, Frank. I appreciate it. Have you heard of these cornerbacks before? Darnay Holmes, Caillou Blue Kelly.
I'm not convinced that's a real person.
Kyu is the spelling of the name. That's my guess. And then Eric Stokes.
Stokes I've heard of. The
Yes.
other two, absolutely not.
Yeah, and Stokes is the third cornerback on that list. Packers let him go in free agency for a reason. He couldn't stay healthy. He had some great times when he was healthy, but just couldn't. You're not scared of this. Nobody should be scared of that. They did bring in Jeremy Chin as a safety. They also brought in Jermaine Pat, Elandon Roberts at linebacker, and they kept their front seven solid by signing Max Crosby. But this isn't a scary defense. Not at all. Demario Douglas is a safe play. He's got a big range. If you've got 5 starting positions, 6 starting positions, like where you've got like 3 wide receivers and 3 flex spots, he could fill a flex spot. That's the kind of player you want that's the kind of player you want to slip in there every now and then. Demario Douglas. He's not going to ruin your team because you don't have to have high expectations of him. And he will be involved.
Interesting. I do like that one. My RB5 tier is a little weird. So I went with the guy that has a very good chance of getting more time this week than probably almost any other week.
Ooh, I see
And
where
I
you're
went,
going.
I went Will Shipley. So Will Shipley, he's currently the backup. His only competition as a backup is A.J. Dillon. Obviously, he has Saquon Barkley in front of him. But the thing is, this can be a very high-scoring game on Philly's side. Like I mentioned earlier, there's no Michael Parsons. Dallas gave up about 137.1 yards per rushing yards per game last year, which was 29th in the league. Last year, Barkley in one of the matchups versus Dallas had 167 yards. So at some point, that's going to end up maybe possibly taking Saquon out. And the reason I say that is because we already know Barkley has shown that he is willing to let the young guys eat. He said that to A.J. Brown last year against the Giants, his former team, who he could have absolutely continued to destroy and prove a point. He only needed 14 yards to break his personal high. He needed another 43 yards to break the Eagles team record. And he said, no, let Gainwell play, let Shipley play. Now, Shipley did not get much action last year, but this could be the one game this year that he potentially gets, possibly matches his high in rushing attempts, which was 10 last year in week 18, to end the year. Now, I'm not saying make sure you play him, but if you have him and you need a spot to fill and he's there, the floor might be high or the floor might be really low, but if this becomes a blowout like I'm actually expecting it to be, I don't expect Dallas to stay in this game, even though, they have CeeDee Lamb, arguably one of the best guys, but I don't expect them to really be putting up big numbers. This might be a week where Will Shipley might actually get some pretty good touches.
I think that's a very, very nice call right there. Will Shipley, if you could be in a rebuilding team, you could have missed the draft and auto drafted, and this could be a conundrum for you. Normally, you're not looking at a running back 5 to start. Normally. But that doesn't mean it's out of the possibility. And if you're looking for somebody that could have opportunity, real opportunity on the field, I like that. That's not somebody I would have thought of. So thank you. Good call. So today we have ended with a couple minutes on time, with a couple minutes left, because we've been running over, because I talk a lot. I've been working on it, y'all. My students would disagree, but I digress. My dad, I didn't start talking till I was 3. Fun fact. I had to go to speech therapy. I had 8 words that I knew how to say, and my parents just understood what I wanted, so I didn't have to communicate. My dad calls those the wonder years, the glory years, because he's like, then you just learned how to talk, and we've been asking you to stop ever since. So, but you're choosing to listen to this, so I'm doing something right. Maybe. And I have a student on here that says, you talk a lot. I mean, that's valid. That's very valid. Michael, where can people find you on socials?
You can find me on X. You can find me on Blue Sky. Just look at mpflores90, and I'll be there.
Awesome. And I'm at TopherK44, right there on pretty much anything and then some. So yeah, fantasy football stuff sticks with Twitter and Blue Sky, though. That's pretty much what I talk about on there. Thank you so much for listening. We really appreciate it. I hope your week ones all go well. Everyone win because you started or didn't start the right people today or for this week. And if Jerry Jeudy has a breakout game or Garrett Wilson has a breakout game, then my name is Michael Flores. Okay? Thank you very much. You all have a wonderful evening. Deuces.
See you guys.
Thanks for listening. Be sure to like and subscribe wherever you watch or listen to podcasts. We'll be back next week for more ways to win your league.